A wild penguin swam 8,000 kilometers. Not once, not twice, but every year, to visit the man who once saved his life. This isn't a fairy tale. It's the real story of Dindim and Zhao. For nearly a decade, a wild penguin embarked on an incredible journey across vast oceans, defying instinct and science, all to reunite with the man who saved him. This isn't a movie script or a fanciful tale. This extraordinary bond unfolded right there in Brazil, leaving scientists scratching their heads and hearts across the globe deeply touched. Get ready to dive into one of the most heartwarming and mysterious animal stories you'll ever hear. A true testament to memory, gratitude, and cross-species connection that challenges everything we thought we knew about the animal kingdom. Our story begins in 2011 on the sun-drenched shores of Ilha Grande, a beautiful island off the coast of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Here, in this tranquil paradise, lived João Pereira de Souza, a retired bricklayer and part-time fisherman. João was a man of simple pleasures, deeply connected to the sea and its rhythms. One day, while walking along the beach, he stumbled upon a sight that would forever change his life, and the life of a small, helpless creature. Washed ashore, barely moving, was a Magellanic penguin. But this wasn't just any penguin. It was covered head to toe in thick, black crude oil. Its small body was frail, its breathing shallow, and its eyes glazed over with exhaustion and fear. It was dying. João knew immediately what had happened. Oil spills are devastating for seabirds. The thick oil coats their feathers, destroying their natural waterproofing and insulation. This means they can't regulate their body temperature, making them vulnerable to hypothermia, even in warmer waters. Beyond that, penguins, like many birds, try to preen themselves clean, and in doing so, they end up swallowing the toxic oil, leading to internal poisoning and organ damage. This little penguin was experiencing all of that, a victim of humanity's environmental carelessness. Most people might have walked away, assuming there was nothing to be done, or called for professional help. But João, with a heart as vast as the ocean he loved, saw only a creature in desperate need. He gently scooped up the little bird, careful not to cause further distress. Back at his home, with patience and tenderness, João began the painstaking process of cleaning the oil from its feathers. Hour after hour, he worked, using gentle detergents and his own hands, slowly, meticulously, freeing the penguin from its oily prison. He then nursed it back to health, feeding it fresh sardines, making sure it regained its strength. He kept the penguin safe in his backyard, away from predators and the harsh elements. He affectionately named his new friend Dindim. It was a name that would soon become famous around the world. What started as a temporary rescue mission turned into something much deeper. Dindim, the rescued penguin, didn't just recover. He thrived under João's care. For nearly 11 months, Dindim stayed with João. He didn't seem to be in any hurry to leave. This wasn't a typical interaction between a wild animal and a human. Dindim grew comfortable, perhaps even attached. He would follow João around the house, waddling behind him like a loyal puppy. He slept near João's home, finding comfort in the familiar sounds and presence of his rescuer. There was no fear in Dindim's eyes, only a quiet trust. This extended stay allowed a unique bond to form, a silent understanding between two very different beings. João wasn't just a caregiver. He was Dindim's protector, provider, and perhaps his first true friend. As Dindim regained his strength and his waterproof feathers returned, João knew that eventually he had to let him go. Penguins are wild creatures, meant to live free, to hunt in the open sea, and to find their own kind. It was a bittersweet moment when João finally carried Dindim to the water's edge and released him back into the vastness of the Atlantic Ocean. João watched as Dindim swam away, disappearing into the waves, carrying with him João's hopes for a healthy, free life. That, everyone assumed, should have been the end of their story. A beautiful, touching chapter closed. But nature, and perhaps Dindim's heart, had other plans. 1 year later, a small, familiar figure waddled onto the very same beach in Ilha Grande. João couldn't believe his eyes. It was Dindim. The penguin had returned. He had found his way back, not just to the general area, but specifically to João. It was an astonishing, almost unbelievable reunion, and it wasn't a one-off event. This incredible journey was repeated not once, not twice, but for about 8 consecutive years. Every year, like clockwork, Dindim would swim roughly 8,000 kilometers, from the icy waters of Patagonia in Argentina and Chile, all the way back to Joao's village in Brazil. This migration is typical for Magellanic penguins, who breed in Patagonia and migrate north for warmer waters during the non-breeding season. But Dindim's destination wasn't just any warm water, it was Joao. When he arrived, his behavior was unmistakable. He ignored other humans on the beach, sidestepping their curious glances and attempts to interact. But the moment he spotted Joao, his demeanor changed. He would waddle directly towards him, an excited, chattering greeting. He allowed Joao to hold him, to stroke his feathers, and to feed him, just as he had done during his recovery. It was a clear, undeniable recognition, a bond that transcended species and immense geographical distances. Joao's heart swelled with joy each time. He would often say with a tear in his eye, "I love the penguin like it's my child. I believe he loves me too." It was a simple, profound statement that captured the essence of their unique friendship. Dindim's annual pilgrimage didn't just melt hearts, it absolutely fascinated scientists. For years, biologists and animal behaviorists have studied Magellanic penguins. We know they are remarkable creatures, capable of incredible migrations and complex social structures. But Dindim's specific actions challenged conventional scientific understanding in several key ways. Firstly, penguins, like many birds, recognize their mates and their colony members, often through specific calls and visual cues within their large groups. But recognizing a specific human after such a long absence and an 8,000-kilometer journey, year after year, suggests something far more profound. This wasn't just about finding familiar territory, it was about finding a specific individual. This behavior points to an extraordinarily strong long-term memory. Dindim wasn't just remembering the location, he was remembering Joao. This implies a sophisticated level of individual recognition, not just of a species, but of a particular being who was not of his own kind. It speaks to a cross-species social bonding that is rarely observed in the wild. It's not just an instinctual return, it's a deliberate choice, driven by a bond formed during a vulnerable time. Biologists who studied the case confirmed that Dindim was indeed a wild penguin, migrating normally within his species patterns, but with this unique detour. They found him to be healthy and robust, dispelling any notion that he might be somehow dependent or unwell. The story gained widespread international attention, with major news outlets like the BBC and Globo TV covering Dindim and Joao's extraordinary friendship. It became a global phenomenon, sparking conversations about animal intelligence, empathy, and the incredible, sometimes inexplicable connections that can form between species. Dindim became a symbol of loyalty and the mysterious depths of animal consciousness. After 8 years of remarkable reunions, Dindim stopped coming back. The beach waited, Joao waited, but the little penguin never reappeared. It was a quiet, heartbreaking end to an extraordinary saga. While the absence brought sadness, it's important to approach this part of the story with a balanced and factual perspective, understanding the realities of life in the wild. One of the most straightforward explanations for Dindim's absence is simply his natural lifespan. Magellanic penguins in the wild typically live between 10 to 20 years. Dindim was found in 2011, and he returned for 8 years. By the time he stopped returning, he would have been at least 9 years old if he was a juvenile when rescued, or significantly older if he was an adult. Reaching the latter part of their natural lifespan is a common reason for wild animals to disappear. Another critical factor is the immense danger inherent in those 8,000-kilometer migrations. The open ocean is a perilous place. Penguins face numerous threats: natural predators like leopard seals and orcas, powerful storms that can disorient or injure them, and the ever-present danger of human-made hazards. Fishing nets, in particular, pose a massive threat, often entangling and drowning countless seabirds. Plastic pollution, another pervasive problem, can also lead to ingestion or entanglement, slowly killing marine life. Any of these could have tragically ended Dindim's journey. It's also possible that Dindim, being a wild penguin, eventually settled down. Perhaps he found a mate in Patagonia and decided to stay with his own kind, starting a family. The drive to reproduce and contribute to the colony is a powerful instinct in the animal kingdom, and it's plausible that this superseded his bond with Joao. While the human connection was unique, the call of his species and the need to reproduce could have anchored him in his breeding grounds. Joao, with his profound understanding of Dindim's true nature, reflected on this with a mix of sadness and acceptance. He once said, "I think he may have died, but I hope he is alive with his penguin family somewhere." It's a sentiment that speaks volumes about his selfless love for Dindim, prioritizing the penguin's well-being above his own desire for reunion. We may never know exactly why Dindim returned for so many years, or precisely why he stopped. But for nearly a decade, a wild penguin crossed oceans, not because he had to, but because he chose to.